I've just learned from other people, right? I just always had a thirst for knowledge. And so years ago, I had met a guy and started a course with him and then just met with him every month. But it was all Eastern philosophy. So it was way different than a Western. And the first thing he taught me about was the ability to create relations. And I'd never heard the definition relations because I'd always heard the word relationships. And so I like, what do you mean by relations? And it was unique because it was kind of two-pronged. It was like the ability to create new relationships, because we're always creating new relationships, or supposed to be, and making existing ones better. So it's one of the things that I put as a goal every day. What relationships are going to make new, and which ones am I going to improve on? So it's always been a constant goal of mine. And the happiness factor was a big part of my life. It was just when I developed more relationships, I was a happier person. It wasn't about the end goal, but the journey of all those relationships that came along, and my goal was to be happy. It just all my research. It's a great question, but it was kind of classic. One of the stories I just told about, where you were there. At the end, I'd won an Olympic medal, right? And then I become shouldn't I be one of the happiest people in the world at the time? But I was by myself, right? And then run in on a bus stop at 1 o'clock in the morning after getting drug tested and everything else, run into one of my training partners who's been waiting there for 3 hours. I didn't know where you were. I've been waiting for you. Come on, let's go for a beer. And it just drove it home, unfortunately. I sometimes learned the hard way, but I learned at a young age how important the relationships were for me to be happy. And you saw it today, Sean, when you turn around and you go, how many people want to be happy, right? So I've met a lot of people with a lot of money, and they're not happy. And for me, it was, I'd never sacrifice that. More money is not going to make me more happy. I figured that out. If I got 2 houses, 3 houses, apartment block, if I got this, you know what? I want to have good relationships. So it was a real solid point in my life where I just went, boom, I'm not going to screw up, or at least try to screw up a relationship. It's not worth it, right? And a lot of people don't get that. We've associated, a great question, because we've associated success with money. We've associated success, what kind of car do you drive? How big's your house, right? And we defined it, right? Eastern philosophy has already defined a different definition of success, so I just followed it, right? All I did was duplicate what they're doing. They've been doing it for thousands of years, and they go, hey, relationships are what they call F&F, and I just converted to English. It was called family and friends. How are your relationships with them? The degree of those relationships are going to equal your happiness. And it just made total sense to me. And the more I developed relationships, you got to test every market out. It's kind of like, because I've never come back and seen somebody and they got more money and they go, I'm the happiest person in the world. It's usually short-lived, right? And they still be a grumpy, and they can be an asshole still, right? I still want to be happy when I wake up every morning, good relationship with my wife, my kids, my family and friends. Great question. And probably an asked question. People always go function, where everybody always asks the how, which is the lowest level, right? There's a formula for it. If you plug in the formula, most people will be able to do it, right? And the being level is a different one, where a lot of people never think about who they're going to do it with. But you and I know when we experience a good relationship, and if you experienced a very bad relationship, they know they'd rather not deal with the latter one, the bad relationship anymore. So they start focusing on good people, good relationships, and I would call people that fit. And then for the most important one in the Eastern philosophy, they refer to as the will. And if I don't know, best way to probably drive an example is a fitness, New Year's resolutions, right? Doesn't matter what country you go to in the world. They always have January New Year's resolutions on. And they turn around in January, you've been to the gym in January, you can't even get a spot to work out, you can't even lay on a mat to stretch. It's so busy because all the New Year's resolutions have joined the gym. Research shows by 6 to 8 weeks, guess what? All the New Year's resolutions are gone, the gym's back to normal again, right? And what happened? What happened is the why isn't there. They didn't have the will to do it anymore, right? So what stopped? It's always about the will, right? What did you stop that for? You haven't figured out your why, right? Why are you doing it? It's that important to you, you would do it. And so I always think about that, as something where fitness and, people go into something really short and they don't have the will to see it all the way through. The most important thing, the will, right? It's a great question. And if you see it, Western philosophy, you'll always hear a phrase called win-win. How many times you heard that, right? In an Eastern philosophy, you'll never hear that. That's a great example because you'll always say win-win, right? And in an Eastern philosophy, they call it dyadic tension. They go work against each other. Give you an example. Hot and cold, what are they? Opposites. You know what I mean? Life and death, what are they? Opposites. Dyadic tension, all that. They bring in what they call the third one, they call the reconciler. You know, if, say a husband and wife are fighting, and I can bring in a child, the child becomes the reconciler to bring the parents together, right? Could be one of, I'm always looking for the reconciler. What's going to bring these two together? What's the third piece? So in an Eastern philosophy, it's always three. But we in a Western culture always think win-win. You hear that quite a bit. But there's actually going to be three all the time. It's like you and I talking today. You know, it has to be a win for you. It has to be a win for me. And guess what? It's got to be a win for, you know, everybody that's viewing it. How many? Three. It's always three. But people always look at it in the two-way, right? But it's a different way to look at things. When you start looking at it three instead of two, you say, who else am I affecting? In an Eastern philosophy, they refer to it as everybody wins. And everybody wins in Eastern philosophy, it's referred to as harmony. Yeah, so it all connects, you know what I mean? It just takes me a little longer to learn. 55 years before I learned stuff like that. No, it isn't actually, because you take the relationships. What a lot of people don't do is prioritize relationships and go in and go, just like priority for you. You look fit as a fiddle, right? So, you know what I mean? I don't have to stress to you how important your fitness is it? You look healthy, you look fit, you know what I mean? What do you do for workouts and stuff, right? What do you do?
MMA.
Huh?
Mixed martial arts.
You look fit as a fiddle. You have big chest, you know what I mean? You look like, you know, I'd like you to push my wheelchair, you know what I mean? So my point being that I don't have to explain that to you because you know it's a priority. What most people don't understand is relationships are a priority in your life and where it should fit. If you want to be happy, where do you think they should be? And where do people that, oh, if I got some spare time, I'll have some, you know what I mean? Because no one ever sits down. So I sit down, and when I do goal setting one-on-one, I sit down with the person. I say, where are relationships on it? Well, if I got time, I'll spend some time with my wife. But if I don't have time, you took work over the relationship, and how do you think that's going to go? You know, you're working at home, so it's like when you had kids, right? I never missed my kids' events, right? Whatever sport they were in, you know what I mean? It wasn't an option. Oh, I spend time at work or kids. Done, work. Going to the kid football game, I coach them in wrestling, hockey, whatever, you know what I mean? All my kids got maybe too much of me, but I knew what my priorities were. And that's what relationships are it's prioritizing it, right? I have a feeling in your workout you'd say like this and you go, okay, I got this workout, that, nothing else happens, right? During that time, it's a sacred time for you, right? You prioritize it. No, let's go drinking. No, this is when I do my workout, right? Choice. This is exactly what we talked about. So the prioritizing of relationships, how important are they? It's like I've been happily married for 30 years. And my wife is, you know, still my best friend, right? We get out to talk, we giggle, we travel well together. How important is that relationship to me? Like if I go by the belief system, happy wife, happy life, right? And a lot of guys don't get that. And my wife runs her own law firm. She's busy. When we connect and stuff like that, it's like dating again. You know what I mean? It's a cool, and people don't value those relationships. They take it for granted. Is that a fair comment? You know, oh, she can do that, he can do that, and they take it for granted. I think it's a big part of is nurturing that relationship, right? And it doesn't matter with your kids, with everybody, who's important in your life, right? So I got a handful of people that, dude, on a dime, you know what I mean? And vice versa. If someone was in trouble or something they needed, I'd have their back, and they know that. Vice versa, they'd have my back. If I said, my kid's in da-da-da-da, can you help them? Or my kid's in a car accident or something, you know what I mean? They got your back, right? I'm in, I'm all in, right? Kind of thing. I don't have to worry about them. They'd be there, and I'd be there for them. So what's the value you put on that relationship, right? BobMolly.com, yeah. So best place to connect with me. I just got to do it well in advance because I'm booked.